Hi friends, welcome back to Shelby and the Book Club. I am Shelby Monet, and in today's video we are going to do my February reading wrap up. I did not read as much as I wanted to read in February, but life happens. If you watch my weekly vlogs, you know that a girl was sick. We also went to New York Vogue Knitting Live, which was a bunch of fun. But most of it was I wasn't feeling good. Stuff with my blood pressure. I had a little bug that was weird. I was really tired. And I really think it's important to listen to your body when your body says that it is tired and that it needs rest. It's telling you that for a reason. And I spent a lot of time just going and not giving myself the time to rest and recoup and so on and so forth. And there was like a week there where I would sleep for like a little bit and then be up until like 5-6 o'clock in the morning. It was a mess. Y'all didn't ask that, but that's all in the weekly vlogs. Watch the weekly vlogs. If you don't watch the weekly vlogs, y'all, all the tea is in the weekly vlogs. I promise you. So I didn't read as much as I wanted to, but I still feel pretty good about what I read. I read 4 books this month. Like I finished 4 books. I DNF'd 2 that I tracked. There were a bunch of other books that I won't consider something a DNF if I didn't get more than like 50 pages in. Because if I only read 2 pages, I don't know what the book is about. Technically, I have 3 DNFs, actually, now that I think about it. But we'll talk about that one in it. Okay, if you would like to hear what I did read, what my statistics were for the month, then stay tuned. Don't forget, before we start, to like, comment, and subscribe. We are trying to expand our family here. Like, we're like 500 subscribers away from 2,000, and I'm really excited about that. So make sure you do that. And if you would like to hear it for real this time, here we go. Okay, as I'm talking about this, I will put the pictures from Storygraph up on the screen of what my statistics were. So I finished a total of 4 books this month. That comes to a total of 1,183 pages. 1 of them was an audiobook. 3 of them were physical reads. 3 of them were historical fictions. 2 of those historical fictions could also be considered literary fiction. 1 of them, the audiobook, was a collection of short stories. My average ratings for the month was a 4.06, which is not terrible. That means I mostly I enjoyed what I read. We can start with DNFs. So the first one I'm going to put here up on the screen, but this one was in my March TBR as well because I want to finish it. It is Uphill by Jamel Hill. Excuse me. I stopped reading it because it was getting sad and I wasn't feeling good. So I just was like, I want to hug her and her mama. I do want to know what the outcome is though. Like I'm enjoying how she's telling her life story. I also can relate to her a lot because she kind of starts her book off by saying like, this thing happened to me and I went to my mama for sympathy and she ain't had none for me and told me that I was really angry. So I decided to go to therapy to prove my mama wrong. And that sounds very much like something that I would do. So I want to finish that. The other 2 were, first up we have, hold on a second, y'all. Trying to get the books so that they don't topple over. First up we have Moonrise over New Jessup. I was enjoying this, and then it just got boring. Like, it's kind of one of those books where I felt like it didn't really have a plot, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It was just like taking a while to get to the point, and I don't necessarily enjoy that. I wouldn't say that it was bad. I just was like, okay already. Like, all right already. I just wanted it to get to the point. I was enjoying the characters though. And I was really enjoying that Alice Young, who is the main character in this book, was able to like restart her life in a all black town. It does cover some subjects, like some subject matter about segregation and racism and so on and so forth. But it was really cool to see her restarting her life. I probably will go back to this eventually. I don't know when. I don't know if it'll be this year. But I know I'll go back to it. Next, The Devil's Half Acre by Kristen Green. This book is about Mary Lumpkin, who is the woman that Yellow Wife is based off of. The Devil's Half Acre is a plantation that she was on, which was also a slave jail. And the story is about how she turned it into a school. This was making me angry, but I do want to finish it because I feel like there's useful information in here. I also feel like this might be a very good starter nonfiction. And what I mean by that is I feel like sometimes reading nonfiction can feel like reading a textbook. And as somebody that is 10 years removed from school, it's hard for me to get into those books. They are very intimidating for me. And this is a little bit more palatable, I feel like. It wasn't hard to read. It was just the content was upsetting to me. And rightfully so. It's whatever. But I do want to finish this as a part of the 23 nonfiction books that I read this year. I just need to get in the right mindset for that. And I feel like someone said to me, or I saw it on TikTok or something like that, where somebody was like, baby, it's a nonfiction. You can read a couple of chapters and call yourself done up. And I totally appreciate that thought process. So yeah, those were my DNFs for the month. Now, my completed. Let's start with the audiobook. I will put a picture of it up on the screen. It is called When Trying to Return Home. Okay, let's preface with, I usually do not like short stories, like collections of short stories, because I expect them to intertwine somewhere, but I guess that would be a novel. I gotta be real with myself and just understand that collections of short stories are just not for me. This one was pretty good. Can I say that any of the stories in particular stood out to me? Not really. Some of them were funny. A lot of them included stories about Latina and Latino men dealing with colorism, race issues, family drama, so on and so forth. There were a few that I found funny, but I can't say that I like really connected with it. For what it was, the writing was good. The writing was not bad. The audiobook was really good. Like, listening to it was palatable. I just can't with short stories, because I feel like every time one of the stories ends, I'm like, I want more. I want more of that character. What's gonna happen to them now? Like, what? You know what? I take that back about the stories not standing out. The very first story in the book did stand out to me, because I made my mama listen to it, and I was like, girl, I do a lot of things for you, but if you ask me to break the law, that's where I draw the line. That is where I draw the line. So I take that back. There were some, they're thought-provoking. It's me, it's not the book. If you like short stories, I highly suggest it. But if you are like me and you need a novel, don't set yourself up for that. The next three were my physical copies. So this was the book club pick for the month, Decent People. This book was absolutely amazing. By the time you're seeing this video, the monthly vlog with my review on it and my reactions while reading it is already up. You should go watch it. I love this book. This was my first 5-star read of the year. Everything else got like a 4 point something. This is a perfect book to me. It is thought-provoking. It is funny. It's messy. It got drama in it. It made me remember how fun it is to read a mystery. That's all that I will say about that. That is all that I will say about that. Next, we have River Sing Me Home. You guys should have seen the review that I posted for this as well. Where do I begin with this story? On the surface, this is a story about an enslaved woman that runs away named Rachel to find her children that have been taken away from her throughout her years of slavery. The root of this book is a woman trying to figure out, what does freedom mean? What does it mean to be free? And how do we bridge the gap between what we fantasize about reality versus the realness of what reality actually is, right? I think a lot of the times we feel like, oh, if I was just in a relationship, I would be happy. If I just had the money, I would be happy. And we expect to get these things, and that there's like a fairy godmother somewhere that just sprinkles the little dust, and then everything just changes into the way that you want it to, without having to do the work and without having to feel the feels and to actually have to grieve the life that you had in order to accept the one that you are trying to call in. Oh, I think that's a word. I think y'all gonna have to sit with that one. I thought it was a really good book. What did rub me the wrong way? The author identifies as mixed race. I'm never going to police anybody's blackness. That's never my place. But it felt like, because she had wrote this little like blurb in the front about using certain words, that I don't necessarily know that she has always identified as mixed race or identified with her blackness. So that might be off-putting to some people. Read the book anyway. Read it anyway, because it's a good book. It's one of those that's like, you're gonna sit with it and you can be like there were moments where, like, after I had read the book, that I would think about certain things and I'd be like, oh, that's what that meant. It's one of those books. I think it's worth it. I think it is. I think once you get past the little blurb and you have your thoughts about it and you're like, because it made me go, is she black? Why is she saying this? Is she okay? It made me do that. And then once I got past that and I actually read the book and I listened to it, like I not listened, but I was able to absorb what I was supposed to and actually kind of like settle into the book. It was good. I enjoyed it. And then last but certainly not least, In the Upper Country. This is a book that put me through it. I'm not gonna lie to you, because the beginning of it took a while to get into this book, because there was a lot of world building, right? So I thought that there was a lot of unnecessary world building, and that is not at all factual. It was all a part of Kai Thomas's bigger plan. This is about a woman named Lucinda Martin, she works for a crusading black journalist that writes for the colored newspaper in a Freetown in Canada. There is a murder in said Freetown, and Lucinda is called to talk to this woman to tell her story for the paper. While the woman is in jail, Lucinda goes to visit her, and this woman, spicy old lady, speaking riddles, and Lucinda is like, I know she killed somebody. Why don't y'all go ahead, throw that body in the swamp and get this lady out of jail and leave me be, right? But we come to find out that there is a relationship, a familiar relationship between this woman and Lucinda that she had no clue about. She learns a whole lot about her family through talking to this woman through the power of storytelling. So it is a story within a story, which is truly amazing. So all of that world building that I was at first annoyed with was important, because we needed to know who Lucinda was, to have this like very big like restorative moment at the end when she started to realize all of these things that she had never known about her family, about her, where she's from, and all of this stuff. It is also very rich in history. Like, reading this, I was like, had no idea about a lot of things, about the relationships between Native Americans and African Americans, about relationships between white people and Native Americans that I had never really heard about. I think I should be saying indigenous people. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I had no idea about slavery in Canada. Baby, you know, the older I get and the more books I read, I really be feeling like I might have been the child that was left behind, because why didn't I know all of this? Where was I? Where was I at? Was I asleep, girl? Because it's so much information that I'm like, okay, I need to look for nonfiction books about Canadian history in certain aspects, because I am intrigued. It also made me think about how I don't hear this as much anymore, but back in the day, there was always a black person talking about how they got some Indian in their family because their hair was nice and long or something like that, or they was fair skinned. And I'm here to tell you they weren't lying. They do got Indian in their family. Based on the history that I learned from in the upper country. So I enjoyed this book. I do think that this is one of those that you probably need the audiobook for. Excuse me. If you like a slow burn, then you'll enjoy this. If you don't like a slow burn, listen to the audiobook and speed it up a little bit. It'll get you to where you need to be, because the story itself was phenomenal. I think the story within a story was so good to me. Seeing the change in Lucinda was really good for me too. It was another one of those books, like I said, with River Sing Me Home, that like sat with me. Like after I had read it, I was like, oh, maybe I wasn't paying attention for real. Maybe I wasn't getting what I needed to get from this. So I think this is gonna be one of those. I might reread this in a couple of months via the audiobook, so that I really can like absorb the book and like get the things that I was missing and so on and so forth. So that was my wrap up. I am excited about March. I feel like I got my mojo. I'm taking my vitamins and my vitamin C and stuff so that I don't get sick. And so that I can kind of power through some books. I want to be able to do like 2 to 3 books every week in March. And I think that I can do it. My goal is to for the first quarter of the year to have finished 20 books, and that means I need to read 8 books next month, and I think I can do that. I might have to call in some audiobooks for the end of the month, but I'm excited. I'm really excited. So without further ado, if no one has told you today, this week, this month, this year, I love you. You are kind, you are smart, you are important. If you've made it to the end of this video, put a yellow heart. Put a yellow heart in the comments. I couldn't think for a second there. Put a yellow heart in the comments if you made it this far. Okay, I love you. Bye, friends.